all larger, taller
Wow.
strong walls.
And then do you make the rake? You get them
We
square and
do.
then you can cut the rake?
Yeah, we cut the rake on the side.
Okay, so class, we'll talk about strong walls, and I'll get, I don't think I can see this from the outside because it's wrapped already, but there's that's probably a 12-foot strong wall. It's cut to the rake, and I'm sure that was called out, and these straps were called out. And you can see the heavy-duty hardware, which that has yet to be bolted. No, it's got bolted. You can see the heavy-duty hardware carrying that ridge. That's a column cap that carries that ridge beam, which is probably a 6 by 12. And then ours are all your 2 by 12 hangers. Now, are they with this volume ceiling? How are they venting this volume ceiling? Are they venting the eaves?
I think they're gonna apply their rigid foam insulation.
So it's going
this dry
Icynene.
one.
Icynene, yeah. That makes sense. So if they didn't do Icynene or a closed or open foam, if they didn't do a foam insulation like Icynene, then they'd have to vent at least every other bay. They'd have to vent one bay to the other, and then at the end of the run, outside through those fascia blocks, they'd have to have some kind of eave venting to vent those. So to avoid that, to avoid what happens with superheated air or heated air inside a building and non-heated air or ambient air and temperature outside a building, which causes condensation, they use a Cola-Cell foam, and then they can do it and don't have to vent anything and save a whole lot of time and trouble. And here are the plans. So what sheet we're on is S2, which is floor framing plans and notes. You see that? Yep. And there they are. And point to where we're standing.
Okay,
Hilario.
we're standing right here.
God, this is an ADU, man.
Right.
That's what
Yeah, this is the 4x4 you were looking at it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the beam up to the outside
Yeah.
to catch.
There's the
post.
EPC on top, which is the column cap, right?
Correct.
And there's straps on the outside,
Yes.
22-inch straps. There's the ridge above, great room volume ceiling. See that 6x6 right there? 6x6 with a column cap is right.
Actually, now it's a 4
Now
by
it's a
8.
4x8. Okay, it
Yes.
changed to a 4x8. So
Because
you can go bigger, you just can't go smaller.
Correct.
So you can pretty much go bigger with no problem. So was that, whose decision was that? Was that you guys? Was that the engineer?
It was decided from the beginning, from the owner, then went to the architect, and then went to the structural engineer just to have a 2x4 wall instead of a double wall there.
I see. So they changed from a 6x6 to do a 2x4 wall. They had to go from a 6x6 because that was a 2x6 wall, which ran into a 6x6 post. And then since they wanted it to be a 2x4 wall,
Yes.
they had to change it to a 4x6, and by narrowing it to 4, okay, I got it, or 4x8 rather. That makes sense. And that they could use the 4x4 in there, and there it is over there. Do I see it, or is that just 3 studs together? With a column cap. You see it right here, this 4x4 with an EPC column cap. Right over
That'll
there.
be on the corner again.
Oh, so
We went from the one size opening to a big one. So we just trying a big header, and because of the room, they decided to leave it as it is. So we widened the opening
right,
so the owner can have more open space.
right, okay. So just another example of changes as you go that come up and are necessary. Some of them need to be re-engineered and they need to bring other people in. Some of them you can just do and they don't really make any difference, other than they maybe make openings slightly wider, but they don't require any engineering. But these hangers are all shown, these roof hangers. So next one's roof framing, right? It's 2x12 roof rafters, and then they don't specify, or do they specify the hangers
Yeah, if
too?
you go to that detail.
Okay, 13S4. So detail 13. Okay, so there you go. There's your 2x roof rafter, and there's your U-type hanger.
Yes.
And then there's straps, of course, across the top on the roof, which we can't see the roof right now. But here are all the details, and these are real details. Some of these are boilerplate, but these are all germane to the job. Wow, is this insulation?
That's concrete.
So that's concrete again up against the stem wall?
Yes, they're planning to put the
So,
stone.
oh, it's gonna be veneered?
Yeah,
Right, so
veneered.
that's veneer, okay, that's exactly what that is. Nice set of plans, who drew these? Engineers, LU engineers, of course they're out of Pasadena. Looks like some site-built trusses here, is that what that is?
No, it's just a two-way ceiling joist to the vault the ceiling from the bedroom.
But just in terms of figuring out details, you guys, if you were looking at that detail, right? That detail right there, and you went, oh wow, where is that? Well, it's 27S4. So, oops, 27, we need 27. All right, there's the detail. It's a section through that ridge. Let's see. So that ridge, and that's going to be over in here. Let's see if we can see that. Is this? Are the ceilings? That's obviously a drop ceiling, right?
Yep. Yes.
And here's a drop ceiling, and now we're getting into another volume ceiling. Oh, how cool is that? I love that. I love that. So you see the ridge above us is a gable, right? And there's the ridge for the gable, and there's the rafters up there, rafters going that way. But in here, they've created a volume ceiling and not one where there's just one run all the way up to a wall that goes all the way up. So kind of a shed roof look. They've turned the ceiling into a gabled volume ceiling, which is very cool. And that's, the architect did that. And it's really nice. I really like it a lot. I love stuff like this. It's, you know, it's the thing that, because this, you could keep the ceiling volume for a lot cheaper, right? And not do this, and just run this wall all the way up, and then you'd have like a
Correct.
big shed volume.
Yes.
But this gable volume, it gives it the room symmetry, you know, that opening is totally centered on the gable, the volume gable that's created in here. The ceiling, so cool. And it's all ceiling registers, which is not ideal, but your choices on slab on grade, since we're not doing, you know, we used to do under slab ducting, which is a nightmare of epic
Yes.
proportions. We stopped doing that a while back. And, you know, now with slab on grade, we like to hang the furnaces in the attic, which that one is, right up there. Ducting runs through all the crawl spaces, but then you either have a high wall register or a ceiling register, which is not ideal for heat, because heat rises, but it does the job.
Correct.
And when I talk about ideal, and for my money, ideal is floor registers at exterior walls, you know, centered on windows and inactive doors, and a return air in the center of the house, so all your supply air is drawn across the house to the return air. And it really is an efficient way to heat a house. God, they got a lot of cool attic space in there. You know, for a 600 square feet, why would you need any more than this? Are you sure this is like 20 by 30?
I may be mistaken, probably it's a little more than that.
Let's take a look at the plans. I'm really curious because why would you need anything more than this, man? Who would? Yeah, it's just unbelievably cool. Let's see. Title page. Oh, this is the proof set too.
Oh, it's already done.
Yeah, already been done. Okay, here we go. Context, details, cover sheet. Yeah, they usually call it out somewhere. MR, comprehensive, yes, no. Weird. What's this say? Site plan. Let's look at the floor plan. It's probably pretty easy. It's probably,
Figured it out.
yeah. I'm really curious. Okay. So the building itself, oh, fuck, I'm not adding all those up. Okay. 23.9. Come on. All right, so 20, 30, about 42 by 23.9, so. $42 times 24 equals, yeah. It's closer to just 1,000 inside, beside the terraces, and I think
Yeah.
ADUs are limited to 1,200, I think that's what they are.
There.
I think that's what I remember. So, at 1,200 square feet, which is not considered, a big place, it's huge. It feels huge, doesn't it?
It
So-
is, I mean, for a husband and wife,
Yeah, I mean, what more do you need? And then please tell us, what were the challenges for you on this project? This particular project?
well, challenges, I don't think, the only challenge that I see here is, like always, is the safety of the people, quality of the job, keep the customers happy.
Right? How about the job itself? Did any present any framing challenges? Anything like what you were scratching your head going, oh, how do we do this and stuff like that?
No.
Was it pretty
No,
straightforward?
this is pretty strict, simple framing.
Nothing you hadn't done before?
No.
2x6 walls, 3x plates, which are called out for these walls. Did you guys check your anchor bolts and your HDs and the locations were good? You didn't have to bore and epoxy any in?
Correct, that is correct.
Were they clean? Did you have to bend any? Did your concrete guys leave them
Well,
clean?
Yeah, usually it's always, nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
I think that makes us humans.
Yeah.
And,
Wait, stop this for a second. What Hilario just said, if you didn't hear him, was that nobody's perfect and that's what makes us human. That's a good quote, dude.
Yes, and like everybody, without complaining, we just come out and there's bent bolts, we just straighten it up and just keep going.
Yeah. It's
And-
just the way it is.
Yeah,
You're
it
right.
is.
It's the way it is. But you didn't have to epoxy anything. They were in the right place.
I think there's a couple of hold downs they had to epoxy it because they were in the wrong places.
Which is pretty standard. So, when the concrete is laid out, things like this is it's probably an HD8 right here. When that's laid out and that stab is in the concrete, that stab being the bolt that this piece of hardware is anchored to, that's got to be in the exact place to catch that 4x6. And if it's not, it has to be, you have to bore an epoxy in and have it checked by a special inspector and stuff like that. So the layout for the anchor bolts, especially HDs, is super important. Other than that, if you got a level slab, you guys, looks like you framed this wall as a pretty long wall too, huh?
Yes, it's a single wall.
Framed on a nice clean slab and then raised and kicked off. God, I would have loved to have seen this thing being framed. You guys framed it in 3 days?
3 weeks.
Oh, 3 weeks.
I mean, yeah, all things we start to this phase of the job is, we've been here 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. 3 weeks of framing, big openings, big headers, no huge challenges. You guys sheeted the roof too, I'm assuming?
Yes.
And does that ridge beam stay exposed?
It's a glue and beam. No, it's gonna be hitting by the ceiling.
So this is all drywalled?
Yes.
This is not a TNG ceiling? So that'll all drywall, okay, it'll drywall up and drywall on the flat. These walls drywall, all that covers, that big connection covers up there. Wow. This is really, now, okay. That's cool. Now this layout, Eladio,
Yes.
16 centers, right? Boom,
Correct,
boom.
yes.
And you got nailing here. I don't know what all this bridge nailing is about, but then you jump over. So is there some reason you deviated from 16 centers here? Something that came up and you went, oh yeah,
Yes, lights.
lighting.
Yeah, lighting. They got a center bay for the lights.
Okay,
And that makes it add or subtract one of the joists.
I see. So, which is really good to know which is really good for the general or somebody was coordinating with the framers at this point so that when they could change the framing now or do it even before that needed to be changed, based on lighting, because, you know, we've had to change a few things based on, lighting and mechanical room changes, and plumbers ran stuff that they shouldn't have ran and all that stuff. And we're gonna go film a job that, Hilario's company, framed for us, which is a little less complex. A little bigger, but less complex, and certainly not as, wow, look at that up there. That's some interesting framing up there. Why block on that, why block on the bias like that? I'm just curious. That blocking that's running up at an angle? Is there some reason for that?
Yes, we had a roof attaching to this high wall from the top, on the top side,
Uh-huh.
and that'll give you an nailing.
Oh, okay.
See, that's a lower roof in that area over there.
Oh, in kneeling for your roof from the outside.
Yes, we got a ledger
I see.
against that.
So there's a roof that comes in right at that level
Yes.
on the exterior.
Correct.
And that's why those blocks, you can see those blocks are cut on the rake like that.